Oh,
Yeah. Good class.
there you go.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming into my class and everyone on Zoom, if there's anyone there. Can you guys help me watch to make sure I do this?
I think she left.
Okay. So what we're talking about today is how to turn more renters into buyers, but we're going to do that through financial planning from a lender's perspective. And this is something I just can't reiterate strongly enough. It's important for everybody at all stages. I don't care who you are or what you are doing, but it's definitely important if you want to buy a home. So,
And I'm gonna just say that she doesn't know I'm saying this, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm on my third client that was a tenant that now, after their lease is over, they're my buyer. That's amazing. So, or one of them last year, one client I did work with wanted to be a tenant, and it had some other issues, so we, stopped at this price that he was at. I said, that's house management, so that's why he's converted. So this is really good information.
Yeah.
To have.
Thank you. So our goal today is to help someone to buy a home or to upgrade, to help them to use debt wisely, to become financially sound, to amass savings and investments, because who doesn't want to do that? Minimize your taxes, pass the money knowledge forward, and set your kids up for success. So this is the natural path to financial wealth and management, right? And we're going to look at this through the lens of who's the perfect borrower from a lender's perspective. Perfect borrower has no debts, has high income, and has strong assets and great credit. So if you are missing any of these categories, then you have some work to do. So how are you going to do it? This is the how. These are the steps. And if any of these sound basic, I want you to understand that this is the building blocks that are critical to really help you to mindfully get yourself to where you want to be. Without you purposely getting yourself there, it's not going to happen by accident. And I'm going to, before I even get into the exact steps of how, I want to backtrack a minute because my own personal situation, I was in the banking world, I was in management, I made great money, I was like happy as a clam, lived hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, had no savings, no debt, but we were fine. Until I decided that I wanted a divorce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then
pay the bills.
Yeah, that did a very, very fast turnaround, and it put me under a mountain of debt. Things just, the debt just piled on so fast I could barely breathe. And so it was somewhere about 5 years into that mountain of debt and that post-divorce, still, barely holding on by fingernails, trying not to go down that slippery slope. And I mean, I actually got to the point where I could barely, I didn't think I was going to be able to make the minimum payments on all of the credit cards that I had racked up on things like groceries, to eat. So, it was that bad. But I somehow managed to get through, and at some point in life, about 5 years later, I ran across a version of the workshop that I'm giving you today. And I took it to heart and I did it word for word, line for line, and it completely worked for me. So that's why I'm very sorry. So step number one is to track absolutely everything. You want to list all of your bills. Track your spending, understand where every dollar of income is going. And especially if you have variable income, you need to understand what's coming in and when and how often and what's your average and what's in your pipeline and all that kind of stuff. And understand and track your take-home pay. So I think, oh, by the way, I see people taking notes, which is great because it makes things stick better. But if you sign up, I will send you this. Track how much goes into savings. So tracking every single thing is step number one. This turns your practice into a mindful, I'm doing something about this thing instead of I'm doing okay, you know, I'm not looking, but it's working out, you know, instead you're making it happen. Then next step is you want to, what happened? Go back. Oh,
Can I see the picture of the one before? Sorry.
Yes, sure.
Thank you so much. I gotta read it through that later.
Oh, when she signed up, she sent you.
Yeah,
Oh, good. We sign it with you?
yeah, it's going
That's
on.
going around.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And then what's this is supposed to say, I don't know what happened to the caption was, your number 2 is your debts. Track them and then destroy them. So list every credit card. And when I say list them, we want to know the current balance, the minimum payment, the due date, the interest rate, and these things with the asterisk, the credit limit, the date acquired, and the utilization. These are super important for your credit score, okay? But this is going to be how you're going to actually tackle your debts, and then you get to paying them off. And you want to pay them off in this order. And this is important. The revolving debt and the highest interest rates get paid off first. I don't care if you have smaller balances on something else. I don't care what's going on with something else. You take the ones with the highest balance, highest interest rates, and pay those off first. Then after that, all extra income pays off any other debt. Debt has to go number 1. It just serves you no purpose at all. It just slows down your progress. Use zero balance transfer offers strategically. So if you have those and you can, then I'll give you an example. My son confessed to me one day, he said, Mom, I've got some credit card balances. He's got a Target and a Macy's. And I said, oh, that's not good. How much do you owe? And he said, $5,000. And so one day he got a credit card, a Visa card offer in the mail, and I read it. And I thought, okay, this one's reasonable. And I said to him, look, this card is offering you 18 months of 0% interest. And then it goes to 15 or whatever. And I said, you should get this because everybody should have a Visa. And you know, this will be a way for you to get rid of your debt. And I said, do the math. What's your $5,000 balance divided by 18 months? And he said, $335. And I said, okay, so pay $335 a month towards this card, get this card, pay that, and you'll be done. And he said, I'm gonna pay $350. And I'm like, good, perfect, even better, you know?
Yeah.
So get rid of debt. It serves you no purpose. Except, as I will say, Cobus mentioned it the last time, mortgage debt is different. Okay, so when I'm talking about debt, I mean credit cards and that kind of stuff. Mortgage debt, we're going to look at a little bit differently. And manage your credit score. This is super important for a lot of reasons, one of which is that you get less rates and you get a lot of advantages for having a great credit score. And one real important way to do that is to pay your bills once a month. If you have tracked and listed every single credit card and every single bill that you have, then it's super easy to go on the first of the month or whatever it is that you get paid typically, and have that be your standard time that you go to your spreadsheet and you start paying stuff. I did this for several years. And I actually looked forward to it because I watched that mountain get smaller and smaller and smaller. So it was a really good thing. And when it comes to credit scores, the thing that's going to kill you more than anything is late payments. You can't fix those. They don't go away. They stay on your credit report for 7 years, and you do not ever want to late
Payments only if you pass 1 month, right? If you're late 1 month.
30 days, yes. And you'll get, if you're, late by a day, you're gonna get hit with that late fee, the worst, which sucks.
Yeah, it's true. You know, but they do make an exception. Not everybody can call and you can get that back.
Usually, yeah, it's a rare occasion. And just be careful because because I'm a lender and I see credit reports every day, Macy's is one that I see on people's derogatory listings all the time. And, and I,
That's so bad. It's such
Everybody-
not a big deal.
just about everybody's got a Macy's, including me, and I remember one time, I think my Macy's bill was due on the first, I wanna say, and for whatever reason, I forgot or didn't have the money on the first, or, you know, whatever. It was a Friday and I didn't have a chance, you know, whatever.
Automatic payment is the best.
Well, then I called and I said, you know, what's the grace period? And they said, there is no grace period. And I was like, ah, that's how you get us.
I know.
You bastards.
I know. And it's not, it's totally not worth it.
Yes.
So you said that mortgage debt is not negative. What about cars?
I mean, you know, cars, if they're installment loans, they help you build credit, and if you need to have that on there, that's fine. But anything, you're gonna be paying an interest rate on that, right? So if you wanna get to the point where you're saving and investing and growing, you don't want that. If it gets you there temporarily, great. And let's talk about, I'm glad you brought up cars, because this isn't even on here, but I want to talk about leasing versus owning.
Oh,
Yeah. Cars. Strictly from a lender's perspective, it is better for you to own than lease. And the reason for that is because if you lease, we assume you're gonna lease for the rest of your life. So if you're leasing at $5.99 a month, we have to debt you for $5.99 a month, and we have no workaround for that. We can't pay it off. You know, we can't forgive it if you have 10 payments left, like you can with it when you own. So, yes.
Question on that though, because I've always thought, and then the last few years I've leased with the idea from a tax basis from my accountant that you can write off the lease, but you cannot write off your car payment.
You can write off a car payment, as long as it's for business use.
Yeah,
If
you
Can't write off the entire payment.
No,
Yeah.
you
Lease
can't.
it, you can't, but not on the
Yeah,
purchase.
yeah, and unless it's the go around that was it was a certain weight, like, right, well, I don't want any big cars, so for me, it was like, you know, I just my Mini Cooper, but.
So, yeah, there's a
So there's
few
some
areas
financially that,
where there's differences between a lender's perspective and a CPA's perspective, and that's one of them. And I will say the other thing, if you're a Schedule C, it probably doesn't matter, because we're gonna just wanna look at what your business files are. We don't give back for an auto deduction regardless. But we will, okay, this is another important thing from a lender's perspective, is if your business is paying your car payment, and you can show us 12 months of proof that it's being paid out of a business account, then we won't hit you for that payment.
that's good, because I did that with.
But that's gonna be an S corp.
Yeah, I'm an S corp, and my
Yeah.
car's listed in my S corp name, not my personal name.
So that's the way that you're kind of winning on both sides.
Right.
So
This is recorded, this is a recorded,
Those are. So the car needs to be listed in your business name.
an S corp.
No, it doesn't matter how the car is listed.
Okay, but if you
But if your business is paying out of a business account
account for 12
for
consecutive
12
months.
consecutive months, we don't have to hit you for personal debt. Yeah.
But if your car is in your business name.
I know, it's not me.
Or at least.
Even if it's not 6,000 for a lease. Oh, for a lease. No, I don't.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I don't,
100% right.
I'm not.
I think my car is literally like 5,860 pounds.
Yeah.
It was like,
I mean, personally, I've always been a purchase it, drive it into the ground type of person. And if you have 10 payments or less on any installment loan, we don't count it, so. And if I'm trying to go out, like, I got a pre-approval for this client once, and I thought, oh, he makes great money, you know, this is gonna be easy. And then I pulled his credit, and he had debts like this, like a rap sheet, and I was like, holy cow. And I knew he was selling his house, and I knew he was gonna be getting a net proceeds of, I don't know, 500 or whatever it was. And I thought, okay, what if we pay off this. I kept paying off all of this stuff. And after I paid everything off, I just had enough to qualify. And so I pre-approved him. And the agent came to me, she said, I'm sending everybody to you. So my lender that I sent him to said he should go see a BK attorney. Yeah, and she goes, you're giving him a solution, and I was shocked when I told him, you need to pay everything off, and he said, okay, I was gonna do that anyway, and I was like, and we're in, and he, sure enough, he bought a house, he got in, and I did too, 5 years later too, so happy campers all around. Good job. Yeah, thanks, but you can't do that with leases. Anyway. Do not close any accounts, pay stuff off,
Really?
do not close them.
What about if they charge you like yearly a high fee?
Well, that's different.
You know, like a fee because they give you mileage.
Yeah.
Well,
All of the ones that give you
Annual.
mileage, they charge you a fee, like 100.
but if you're not using it, what good is
I know, so so you have to weigh your situation,
You
saying
do.
what's more important, so do you wanna pay the fee or do you wanna lose some FICO scores?
Yeah,
Do you lose
so-
points?
it? So, yes, you lose points. And I always believe too, that you need to have a business card, business visa or something like that, to use for all your business expenses. So if you have a rewards card, use that one for all your business expenses. It segregates them, makes it easy for you to do your accounting, and that way you've got, an easy way to justify that. But if you have to, like I have a Discover card that's 20 years old, it's my oldest card. And people don't take it,
It's
I don't need it. But once I finally paid off the balance, I used it, multi-million times for zero balance transfers.
Yeah, it's a
while
good
I was working my way to debt free. And now every now and then I'll look for an excuse to just, buy something on it, and I'll pay it off when I get the bill, just to make sure they don't close it on me. Because that one, a 20-year-old card gives you so much good weight, as opposed to a new card that you get that's gonna be almost work against you.
So basically, they close it off if you don't use it, right?
A lot of them do,
Yeah.
My
It
Shell
gets
card.
reactivated.
What I do, I do like small recurring charges like my LA Fitness, which is only
You can.
$20 or anything that's just.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And use accounts on occasion, pay off the entire balance when you have to. Keep your utilization below 10%. Now, I remember at one point I thought, yeah, right, so at that time I thought, okay, I'll go for 90%. And then I was like, okay, I'm there, I'm going for 75%, you know what I mean? Work your way incrementally, but ideally, you want to have some utilization, believe it or not, having absolutely no balance is not good for your credit score.
It's four.
Yeah.
You lose 20 points.
So how much points do you lose for closing accounts?
I don't know what the score is.
It's little or is
It
it?
depends on what account. If I close my 20-year-old account, it would be huge. If I close one that I just got a year ago, it'll be.
I see, so it depends on the year that you had it, that's good to know.
That's why in the first slide, when I said track your bills, and one of the things I said in there was to make sure you put down the. Okay, then you want to
Cindy, I
also,
wanted to add something.
yes,
You said below 10%,
yes,
but I found that they have their tiers like 10%, but if you're shooting for below 10%, really you should shoot for 9%, because if you're at 10%, it puts you in that bracket. The same thing with 30 is like really a hard number that it's like you really get dinged if you go over 30.
Yeah.
You really gotta stay below 29,
yes.
because if you hit 30, you're gonna get
Thank you.
your score dropped.
Yeah, I became a spreadsheet geek when I was doing this, and I had all my percentage utilization for every single individual card, and then I had them all added up, and I had my overall
I do it
utilization.
too.
Yeah, exactly. But, because there were occasions when I had one card that was pretty high up there,
Yeah.
but my overall was really good, and, you do the best you
I
can.
just want to hear that again, because I'm like, I can still hear what you say, I had to ask them twice, I'm still like,
Yes.
okay. So I have a really good, I'm anal about it as far as never pay a finance charge, I've never, my score is 830. I'm very good, but I pay off my credit card every month.
Okay.
Are you saying
Yeah,
that?
you'll hit 850 if you have a little balance on a couple cards.
You need to keep it and pay the finance charge?
No, you don't need to pay finance, but there's the statement date, and then there's the payment due date, and then there's a reporting date. So as long as you pay it off before the next billing cycle,
Yeah,
if you have a card and you charge something on it, it shows up on your statement.
right,
Let it report to the bureaus, and then before your next bill hits, pay it off, but after they report it. So you're not paying interest, but they're gonna report a little balance.
Don't pay it immediately,
Yeah,
but that's always,
yeah, that's probably what I do,
I
I pay it when it walks in
haven't-
the door.
Yeah, I've done it, I had all zeros one month because it said that my balances were high, so it's like, okay, I'll pay them all off. My score dropped 20 points, and I'm like, okay, well, let me put a little bit on every card. Now they didn't like it because I had a small balance, every account had a small balance, I'm like, they don't like that either, I'm like, son of a bitch.
You really like worked it.
Oh, yeah, I was
Yeah.
geeking out on it for years, because my credits, was really bad, so it was like little changes made a big difference on my score. And I was tracking it, by the dollars or percentages, and figured out how much I had to pay to get below a certain percent, so I'm like an expert on
And I just-
optimizing your score.
So I need to touch it, because I don't
And the
understand
same
what this
thing-
is. I really don't understand how you do this, because I really wanna have my children start their credit, to build their credit. So they just got credit cards each, but I need to tell them a way to get higher, so.
Well, the easiest thing to do is actually put them on one of your best account, put them
Cosign.
on as authorized users,
Yeah.
Add them as
But
Add
don't-
them,
but
good idea.
but don't give them a card.
Oh, that's what they'll charge.
You don't have to
Don't
give them a
Yeah,
card, just
sure.
put them on
I
as
did that for my
authorized
son.
users and tear the card up, and
Yeah,
that
that's
will
good
boost
idea.
their score phenomenally.
Okay,
So,
I've done that for my son, so that has helped him,
I
that's
was
why.
so mad when my kid had it. way
And but he
better
has a
credit
card,
score
so
than me.
I'll pull the card out. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you
I
were
guess
getting-
Yeah.
My son was 15, and when he turned 18, he had very high scores, so he was able to do
Perfect, so
it.
just put him on, yeah, cosign. I
put
think
them
I've
on
done
as
that.
authorized user, but don't
What
send them
age
a
is
card.
it?
The card will come to you, but
Yeah,
get
of
rid
course,
of
you
it.
can just take the cards and not use it. That's a good idea. Okay.
yeah, I wanted to ask, so when you acquire a new card, that's gonna take some points, but not for long, how long is that?
I don't know how long it takes,
But not long,
but
right?
yeah, as long as you are good at the repayment of it.
Yeah,
And, pay more than the minimum balance and pay it off really quickly, it's gonna help you then with that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
So-
about 3 months.
3 months,
About
okay.
3 months.
Yeah, I'll ask
Maybe
Gasper.
three
Yeah,
months.
and I
He's
will
an
say
expert.
that after talking to the Calabasas, I'm definitely gonna add a column on my spreadsheet for when
Can I
they
have your
report.
number? Sorry, you mind?
Yeah.
No, I just have just like one clarification on that part, we just said it has to go to the collection, but before, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Not collection, but you want it to report to the bureaus.
Well, when you get the bill, doesn't it, if you
No,
get the bill,
it depends on, because there's a grace period, when you charge something, they don't start charging interest until it hits your statement, so if you charge something, like right now, your bills are paid off, if you charge something, say $10 today, your next statement's coming next month.
Right.
So let the balance carry, let them report it, but pay it off before the following one comes out.
So the easiest way to do it is, once you see it on your statement, then pay.
No, after they report it, so you gotta find out what
Yeah,
they're
we still
reporting.
don't
to.
know.
How do I find it? How do I know that?
How do I-
You
How do I
can
find
look it
that?
up on Wallet
Okay,
look
so-
up what?
Wallet Hub.
We did,
Wallet Hub.
And
okay,
it might
so just
say
give
on your
us a timeline,
statement,
like a roughly thing, so go ahead.
yeah, it might say on your statement, you can look, or you can always call them and ask them.
Yeah, you call and ask them.
Right, that just blow my mind right now, but I haven't done, I'm afraid I'm gonna forget it, so that's why I don't do the 1 month, I pocket from the mailbox and run to it.
Really?
why don't you put like ultimately?
Yeah, I've got automated on
Well, I
all.
have some things on auto pay,
Yeah,
but my other things, whatever, I don't know, like household things, whatever, I don't know, some things, and I have business accounts and I have that, but I wanna see what it is, like my personal credit card, I don't have that on auto pay. So I go and I look at it and I'm like, okay, and then I pay it,
right.
but,
Yeah,
but.
That auto
so
pay.
you can
with
pay it
Macy's,
down to
it
like
stopped,
$10,
and I didn't
let them
know, and I'm
report
not real
$10
good
to
at
the
opening
bureau.
my mail.
But then before the next
Yeah,
bill,
it's not.
before the next bill
They're like,
hits,
you have to
you
pay
pay
it
it
2
off
months, and I'm
after
like,
they
what?
report,
And I
but
called
before
them,
the
I said,
next
I'm
bill
so
comes.
sorry, my auto pay.
Because normally you have your payment due date.
Really? They were so.
Yeah, but if you have your
I
payment,
just
let's say
think
your
credit,
payment
probably
is-
just credit score a little bit.
I mean, I have good credit.
I have not noticed.
Great topic.
So I have another question, so since I wasn't born here, I think my longest credit credit card is like 11 years old.
That's so good.
So my credit score is around 730, but is there anything to, you know?
That's what it's telling you.
You can always try Experian Boost to see if there's anything that is.
What is that?
Experian
It's
Boost.
not a credit bureaus, but it's a boost that you have to pay extra for.
But it
No?
will only boost Experian though.
Oh, yeah,
Not the
it's
other
one of the
ones.
credit bureaus, Experian boost. Yeah,
When you use like the Experian or whatever credit you're using to check your credit, they have recommendations. They tell you how to get your score. So you just have to go through the filter that they have, and it'll tell you what you can add this credit card or pay this down. You know, it gives you suggestions on how to boost your credit.
Okay, good stuff. Let's move on to listing every monthly service. So this is like, okay, the listing your debts is like the 101. You kind of can't go forward until you got that clobbered and taken care of. But then the next gen is listing your monthly services, your cell phone, your cable and internet, your Netflix, your gym, your music, your utilities, your insurance, all of the other bills that you have to pay in life that you've signed up for, and get those under control. So trim where you can, always look for the best deals. Like right now, I'm like bad because my cell phone service is $200 a month. And
I
sure
pay
can
that
do
much
better.
for a year, thank you very much.
Yeah,
With me, yeah.
and I know that Verizon has a great deal, but I heard you can't get good reception here in this building.
and also
You can't
Verizon
get an
charges
AT&T
you taxes. I came out of Verizon. Verizon's more expensive.
You guys recommend anyone?
Me,
T-Mobile.
I pay
T-Mobile is my favorite.
T-Mobile.
15. plus taxes a month, so it's like the whole year.
Check, you're the
That's
second.
what about internet and all that?
How much,
You have all
15?
that?
Yeah.
Why?
Did you say one?
It's Ryan Reynolds' company, and I think they're using the T-Mobile,
Oh, so your
Towels?
reception is good here?
reception is good here and everywhere, like I've been using it
I'm
for,
going
Was it
more than a year, yeah.
MINT?
MINT.
Yeah.
Is that like a cell company?
Okay, more tidbits here.
And actually they give you like, sorry, just,
Yeah.
so like, a little, the SIM card, so you can check it out, and you can check it online if you put the address, how it works in your area.
Oh, okay.
But even if you purchase it for a month, to try it, they send you the SIM and you can try how that works. So
Mhm.
I can highly recommend them, and I can send you some links.
Yeah, I'd like that too.
Okay, tidbit number 2, review your insurance annually. Every year I go to my insurance guy and I say, help. I have 2 adult kids who keep getting tickets and it's killing me. And they always find a way to trip. So
Really?
it's worth the ask. Don't sign up for anything that has a teaser start rate and if you automatically debit, because you're never gonna remember to stop the payments. And even if you remember, it's gonna be paying, but you know what.
True.
Okay, spending, review your bank statement monthly. So you want to make sure that you mind your debit card usage, just as important as your credit card usage, tracking your discretionary spending. I'm kind of at this stage now. I know what I've been spending, and now I also know what I need to work on. So there's one category that's sacred, and that's the wine category.
Oh,
But
that's the measure of life.
other than that, I'll start working on spending less on food, other things. Challenge yourself to spend less each month. Don't shop for entertainment. This is what I used to do a lot in the olden days when I was in the hand-them-out stage. I don't have anything to do today. Let's go to the mall, you know? It's like, no, don't do that. Ignore catalog special offers and sales. Get them in the mail
Trap
all the time. Yes, you don't
One
need to
again.
look.
Yeah, you go for one thing, you end up buying more.
Well, and at first I was like, well, I need to know what the latest fashions are. No, I don't.
I love my friends who go and shop in sales and then they pull out their credit card to pay for it and I'm like,
Go for it.
Yeah.
this makes no sense.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
saying it's
Yeah, I go in to buy one thing and I buy everything but.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a shameless plug for both
Yes.
of, because the one that's gonna, I forgot what month it is, I'll have to look it up, but it's Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. Really good.
Yeah,
I've done that whole series,
I've
the whole
heard.
financial freedom
if you
series.
find it, let us know. We'll pass the news.
Dave Ramsey.
What, if I find what?
Yeah, he's
When it
great.
is.
Yeah, oh yeah, I have it, I'll
He
take
did
it.
one at
I'll
his
take it.
church.
Yeah.
I got into
So
during
when
the
did it-
pandemic, what you need to, I don't know, and it helped me a lot too. I started like tracking everything.
I have my kids.
We kept me busy during.
Kids, it's a good kid program.
Yeah.
Doesn't he want you to tear up all your credit cards?
He does,
He
but
does.
but you
Which
don't,
I don't agree with, because
I get it.
it's not teaching financial,
Yeah.
oh, it's the next one.
And he
you guys.
doesn't even believe in mortgages.
yeah.
Yeah, some of his teachings
You
are
take
have
all
to
a
say-
grain of salt, but.
Yeah,
Take what you,
but
just like
overall the tracking.
all of the situations, take what you want and leave the
Yeah.
How are you
rest.
supposed to get a house?
It's June 28th. It's the next book club after this.
I don't know, I'm in hungry.
Okay, designate one card for business expenses. We already talked about, don't commingle business and personal expenses. It just makes life complicated. And determine your survival number based on the ability to meet your needs, not your wants. So once you start tracking everything and you know what all of your credit cards are and all of your, net spending and stuff like that, and your mortgage and all that other jazz, you'll know exactly how much you must make every month to survive. Now, once we've mastered all that, we can move on to savings. This is where it gets fun. Always use a 401k whenever it's available, because that's free money. Pay off your debts before you save anything. That was a really hard one for me because I like to save, but you're wasting your time if you have debt. Save for planned expenses like vacations, weddings, cars, etc. Try to resist the urge to put those on credit cards and things. Save in your reserve account at least 3 times your survival number. Once you have that and it's comfortable, then bump it up to 6 times, then 12 times, whatever number you feel you need to always have that ramp, safety ramp if you need it. And then everything after that gets to be invested. Save at least 20% of your earnings. That's another tough one, but definitely something worth striving for. And use your reserve account for emergencies, then replenish it. Max out retirement accounts first.
What does that mean?
That means that make sure that you put as much as you possibly can into a retirement vehicle each year before you start putting it into savings or what have you.
Do you have any retirements on?
I do, as a matter of
Oh, good, I want to hear this.
Your lips.
My retirement account
fact.
for the planet.
Yeah, well, it's the market.
I just start with my financial.
Yeah,
You got it.
well,
So-
And I don't even want to look at it
I just
anymore.
kind of,
it's gonna come back, it always does.
Oh,
And she was suggesting
like
I have an IRA.
30, 40.
Suggesting second. And I don't know really anything about it.
Okay.
It's gonna come back.
Just don't take it out.
Don't.
Okay, so before I get into investing, there's one thing that is good to know. It's called the rule of 72s, and it's, how it mathematically works out exactly, I'm not sure, but in essence, it's saying that if you have a pot of money, let's call it 25,000, just to pick a number, it will take about 7 to 8 years for that money to double in the market. So something good to know.
5 to 7 years to double.
Yeah,
Okay, is that how you're investing with that though? What are you doing with it?
it's just good for you to know if you're saving towards something like a house, something big, then you know how much you really kind of need to start.
That seems like a very vast statement.
So how would you, where would you put it in order to grow?
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, I see.
It's coming up, coming right up. Okay, so how to invest? First, invest in real estate when you want to supplement your income.
Yeah.
There's really no better place, and there's nothing else that gives you income the way real estate does.
Sure.
Obviously, it can be done in many, many different ways. I think you need to find the way that speaks to you the most, whether that be through investment properties, or whether it be short-term or long-term rentals, or fixing and flipping, or whatever, but real estate is the way to get money. Invest in stocks and real estate to build your nest egg over time.
Not now.
So
Now, actually,
now
now,
this
better,
is
slow
yeah.
down.
No, it's best to invest now while it's low.
Yeah.
Now
Invest while it's low so you can come up.
Now is a good time to invest, yeah. The ones who did though, they did it before, so now they're in bad shape.
yes. A
But
market.
no, those that are invested, they don't, as long as they don't take it out, they're
Yes.
gonna be in good shape.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hopefully,
If you don't know about stock, just think about it long term.
long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Stocks and real estate, same thing.
Yeah.
They're long-term. We're not doing these for short terms.
Right.
You know, maybe a short-term fix and flip if it pencils out and makes sense, if you're improving the property.
Right.
And you can get your money back, great, but otherwise it's longer term.
True.
Stay fully invested and use cash for all your purchases except for your homes.
Really? Why cash? I thought it's better to use credit card to kind of like make your credit cards work.
You can do that if you want, if you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Disciplined enough
Yeah,
to
to pay them off. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Educate yourself on how to minimize taxes and protect your assets. So my sister-in-law just recently sold her home and she had some money and she said, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know if I should put it back in the market because the market's down right now. I don't know if I trust my investment advisor, blah, blah, blah. What would you do? And I told her what I would do. And she said, and I'm gonna tell you guys in a second too, but she said, well, I don't know about this stuff. You're smarter than me. And I said, no, I'm not smarter than you. I educated myself, you know, a big difference. Take the time and trouble when you're at this stage, when you actually can think about saving and investing to learn some things because, I mean, I can't, my education choice right now is podcasts because I have to drive. You know, I drive to and from work, I drive around on the weekends and stuff like that. And so it takes absolutely no effort to listen to a podcast.
I said the same thing about the book clubs is audio.
Oh, there you go.
I love the audio.
Yes,
Especially when it's the
I
audio.
would listen to audiobooks all day long. I love my podcasts and I can't get enough of the real estate and investing podcasts.
That's great.
And I learned so much stuff and it motivates me like you wouldn't believe. And that's really kind of what motivated this and what's gonna motivate my next class. I might as well plug for that one now too, because it's kind of a surprise to me that this one that came up in the podcast. But the next class is gonna be on divorce mortgages and how to avoid them. So the subject of the podcast was pre and post nupts, and it got me, you know, really thinking about us. That's like this class. It's had such great common sense advice on how to avoid, you know, getting into a divorce situation. But I can also tell you, you know, how to, you know, a thing or two about divorce mortgages. Anyway,
So,
I
sorry.
digress.
So do you listen to the books also on podcast, Christine?
Absolutely.
Oh, I have podcast, Spotify.
You know, podcasts, I do audiobooks.
Audiobooks on Spotify?
I don't have Spotify, I
Oh,
just buy them on
Kindle.
I don't know what it is.
iTunes?
Apps. Yeah, I buy it on iTunes
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever an app.
Which are they like comparing to?
You know,
your
some
own?
books, oh, well, some, just
Audible
depends.
or Apple Store?
You can, but I have my Apple app, so I don't know where it goes. I don't have
So that's
Audible.
the Apple
Yeah.
Store.
Okay, yes, I buy there. You know, some books are, you know, $9, some books are $19. It just depends. I mean, but for me, there's no, that's how I learn better. And though some of the things like you have to write down, or there's some books that have, you know, like homework or something, so it doesn't work, but like the Ryan Serhant book we did, there's no comparison to listening to Ryan.
Oh, yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's
he's-
amazing.
I love him and he's got a
Yeah.
delivery
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and things that he says you can't write, like, you know what I mean? Like he might be off cuff, say something, it's not gonna be in there like.
Right.
Whatever.
And-
So that's how I learn better.
And by the way, I have in my pocket of my door, I have what I call my idea book and my pen and my book. And I'm constantly bringing it up, like ferociously writing notes as I'm listening to my podcast because you just hear some great stuff that really everything starts to tie in and just, you know, speak to you after a while and sets you on a path.
Yeah, I use the notes app for you can even speak to text.
Yeah, I do that too,
You
and
drive.
a calendar, I'll add a note to my calendar and I have like 10 things on there from whether it's make a call or come to your class or go to Target, I put it on my calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this book, Simple Path to Wealth. Books that I read, I used to be a voracious reader, but now not so much. But if I hear something recommended 2, 3, 4 times,
Yeah.
then I think,
More than
okay,
one time.
this is something I need to read.
Yeah.
And I read this one, and I'm gonna just really briefly summarize this in one slide, but what he likes to do is invest in Vanguard index funds. The index funds follows the S&P 500 exactly. It's always self-corrects because it will always carry the strongest companies. Basically, if it is a company that has made the S&P 500 because it's grown to that point, then it gets added to the S&P 500. If it's like going downhill, it comes out of the S&P 500. So this fund will exactly mimic, and because it exactly mimics, it doesn't require a brain, so to speak, to run. It has like almost no expense factor. You can set this one and forget it, and historically, it has outperformed everything and everyone over time.
Wow.
That's what I use.
You have it?
Yeah, my husband, it's like triple the amount in like 15 years with Millennium.
Yeah, that's amazing. And market cycle is about 7 years. So if let's just pretend we're in the worst market right now, that this is the crappiest it's ever going to be. Well, we got 7 years to make up for it. So if you've got a 7-year time horizon and have money to invest, this should be a very safe investment for you. And this is exactly where I would put my money if I wasn't trying to buy a house right now. So. Number 5, accelerate your mortgage payment just for your primary necessarily, but your investments, so you can play those however you want, but round your payments up to the nearest $100, $500, $1,000, whatever, accelerate your payments down. And now I want to digress for a second and talk about 15 versus 30-year mortgages. I get people asking me about 15, what's the 15-year rate right now? Don't get a 15-year mortgage. Why? Because you're forced at a very high payment. You should lock in the lower payment. If you double your payment, and you will, in essence, half your loan time, so you'll in essence turn it into a 15-year loan. And if you do the amortization, you're going to end up with an effective rate the same as the 15-year rate anyway. But this way, you always have the option. You know, you can make as much payment as you want, but if you've got a 15-year loan, you are stuck.
What about splitting your payments? Like every month, so say,
Twice a month,
Yeah.
basically.
so you pay it off a little
Yeah.
earlier.
They say that helps too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything,
That's what I think.
the way
Oh, good.
I
I've seen
think
how many years.
99%
Yeah.
of mortgages work, if not
They say
more.
9.
Yeah, anything you pay over the minimum payment, it goes all towards principal. So if your first payment that you made was all, took care of all that, then your second payment would not suffer. So yes, anything you can do to accelerate is a good thing. Now, in our case, when we have variable income, maybe not, maybe that's not the way to go. Maybe you make, a much bigger payment when you get payday, but. Target your mortgage to be 3 times what you make. Okay, this I'm just telling you was in my original presentation that I heard, and I thought to myself, I don't know if that's doable, but I mean, what that's saying is basically if you earn $100,000 a year, your mortgage shouldn't be more than $300,000. LA, again, I don't know if that's doable, but I'm just passing it along.
What can you get at 300,000?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, your home could be worth $1 million, but you will, it could be that case.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Leverage your investments and your investment properties for more real estate purchases. So that's where I think that if and when you're going to have mortgage debt, I would do it first on your investment properties before I would do it on your primary. And you want to use it,
Say that again.
when you have mortgage debt, I would have it first on your investment properties versus you want to pay down your primary as much as you can, but you want to use the investment properties to help you to get more investment properties or more investment opportunities. Seniors with equity, definitely look into a reverse mortgage. I think a lot of people have a bad attitude toward them, and
I'll sell it.
yeah. I can't tell you how many people I have saved with this loan because it's
People
basically,
think it's bad.
yeah, but it's not. You can't ever lose your home unless you don't pay your property taxes.
Kids won't like it.
Oh.
I mean, the kids rather have to pay for your care
Yeah.
or
TV.
get
I
less of
know,
it.
for years.
Yeah.
But anyway, definitely a good thing for some people. How to number 6, passive income. Okay, so we talked about debt. We talked about savings. Now we're going to talk about income. Find ways to be less dependent on one single source of income. That's can sometimes be tough. Invest in rental properties to cover your mortgage payments. That's a perfect way and a perfect target to set to for any investment properties that you buy. You want them to offset your mortgage. Invest in real estate syndications or REITs. And we have somebody here in our office who has helped me to invest in my first real estate syndication, Michael Cochette. Yes, I was so excited. I asked him about it. He was more than happy to turn me on to somebody that he trusted and in a syndication that he himself put money into. So he's my guy.
What is a syndication? What is that?
So these are people who are like Michael Cochette. They're commercial real estate guys typically that buy huge projects, big multi-unit apartment buildings, office complexes, whatever. And then, they cost to purchase, they can cost in the double millions of dollars, like the deal he just sold recently for 69 million. Nobody's
96.
Oh, 96.
96,
Yeah.
96 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's got that kind of cash sitting around, so they need investors. So that's what a syndication is. That's a group of people that will put together the project, plan out how they're gonna make money on it, and put their own money into it, and then look for investors for the rest of it to make up for it.
Right.
And so now I'm up, probably 0.1%.
Right, but you're an
owner.
investor as well. You're
Yeah.
part of their team, like their investor plan.
But I'll tell you what really got me interested in this more than anything is because, once again, I'm a lender. I see people's income all the time. I see their tax returns. I see where they're making their money. And I remember this one client, when I first paid attention, I said, "You got all this Kaywood income. What is this from?" And he said, "Well, I'm a commercial real estate officer or whatever." And he goes, every now and then they let me throw in my commission on their deal. And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's nice. I'll never get that opportunity." But that was before I discovered these wonderful world podcasts and realized there are lots of people out there.
What's the
doing it.
name of the podcast?
Bigger Pockets Money and Bigger Pockets Real Estate were the ones that got me started.
Bigger Pockets is great, and there's another one called Running Elbows.
Oh,
Bigger
I'll have to
Pockets
look
Money.
Money and
Bigger
bigger,
Pockets Real Estate.
and also yours, Christine,
Rubbing elbows.
Elbows.
running elbows.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I know that
Ford.
one. I saw it on.
And the other one I like too a lot is
Yeah, I saw it
called
on
Afford Anything. But what a lot of times what will happen is that they'll interview people and these people will like wow the socks off of you and you'll be like, "What's their name?" And because they always say at the end, "Well, how can people find out more about you?" And then they'll announce their website or their podcast or whatever. So that's how I just kept adding to my library. But real estate
There's
syndications.
companies out there that are advertising
Yeah,
that you can,
Yeah. But you
Pay
don't know any
somebody.
of those people.
No,
Some of those people are
that's-
new and some of those
yeah.
people make mistakes. So, I mean, we have such a great pool here of really savvy commercial real estate guys. And, they'll help us.
Oh.
Let them.
Yeah.
I'll take advantage. I was never so excited. I told Michael after I cut my check and I sent it in and I got my receipt stuff, I said to him, "I feel like I'm swimming with the big fish."
Yeah,
now."
it's
I like this.
Isn't that amazing? But then did they tell you when they're gonna close the deal and what's the
Yeah,
profit
this
gonna
one
be?
happens to have a 3-year horizon.
Okay,
Yeah, so you get quarterly dividends
Oh,
and
you
then
get
in
quarterly.
3 years, they're gonna sell it and you get.
whatever the
Right.
price.
Oh, really?
1% or whatever.
Whatever percentage
The
you
hole's
invested in.
only 3 years?
On this one, yeah, that's
Wow.
the anticipated. When I talked to him, he said, that's our target, but
So
it could go
to
on.
so how you get paid on that is, I understand with REITs with everybody going in. Okay, then when they sell that property, whatever your percentage is, just say your 1% just to make it easy.
Yes,
Then whatever that sale is it the profit of that sale
yes.
only?
I get
Then you get the 1% of the profit.
Or it might have some other kind of like, certain people get things off the top and then everything that's left, is divided. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but Michael said he'll do, I told him I wanted to do a follow-up on this. and ask him to come and talk. And he told me that the way you do these things is he says the little checks that come in quarterly are nothing, they're like, dinner money or whatever, but he goes, where you really get the money is at the end, and then you just take that and you let it ride, put it in the next project. And he goes, before you know it, you got $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm there, I'm there. And you did virtually nothing. You wrote a check.
Yeah, it's so true.
Consult or start a side business. So another guy I learned about in this podcast, who was an advisor to the Kawasaki Rich Man, Poor Man, wrote the book Tax-Free Wealth. He was talking about how having a business is like your ticket to, being able to expense anything legally. So I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, great. So I happen to have a thing about like antiques and stuff. I like going on the weekends and going to antique stores and thrift stores and things like that. And I'll go travel sometimes to do that. Well, if I want to take a side trip to Santa Barbara to go look at the antique stores in Santa Barbara or whatever, I can now write it off. I can write off my gas, I can write off my hotel. As long as I'm intentionally trying to make money selling the antiques, then, on eBay or what have you, that's my business. And so I thought, oh, great, meals, I gotta have a meet and greet with Jacobus, we need to get together and talk antiques, maybe you'll buy something from me, whatever. But he said a lot of CPAs and stuff discouraged, and because they don't want to get audited. And he said, but as long as you document everything, then it doesn't matter if they audit you, because it is 100% legal. As long as your intention is to make money on this other business, then you'll have whatever expenses you have related to it are tax deductible. So convert your collection or your hobby into an income source. That would be another way to make some passive income. And then this is the recap.
I never got the sign up sheet, guys. Where is it?
Right here.
Oh, did they just start there and?
No, it went around.
Oh, it didn't come to us.
Yeah.
You were late. You're not late.
You were stepped out.
I'm sorry. You're all the best.
But then you were going to ask for it though.
Yeah, I know. I just thought, because I wanted to like,
all this time.
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
This is important stuff. So to recap, track everything, pay off your debts, manage your credit score, max out your reserve account, max out your retirement accounts, invest and accelerate your mortgage. And I told you that it was 10 years ago, I left my husband, I was in a sea of debt. It was horrible, it was hard.
Wow.
I never gave up. I plugged away. About 5 years ago, I heard a version of this presentation. I started tracking everything. I started really working at it. And today I am here.
Wow, congratulations. I people like you, actually, I'm sure.
Yes, and the moral of the story is this shit totally works. So,
Cool.
What's the point of good credit if you can't use it?
That's
plenty,
cool.
Max,
Thank you.
plenty, it's for your real estate. So next step, if you do all of that stuff, you get to enjoy a secure future. You get to share this with your children and teach them how to manage finances, and you get to live happily ever after.
That's
Amazing.
Oh,
Cindy, amazing.
And people that you
So you were certified as a divorce lending professional, I thought so.
That's right.
And that's when you're getting the course, or you're gonna get trained, you're gonna give us some more classes on that. Okay.
Yes, next class. Any questions? You guys were so good at your input to that.
Yeah. Well, I have the credit, but no income. That's what I am.
That's what you're here for, you're working out, yeah. So, I missed the last time's course on renters,
Yes.
switching them to buyers. That's really interesting to me, because I have 10 listing
Well,
it
that's
on.
actually this one. I put
leases.
that as my
Yeah, you did, I was wondering.
yes. Quick, but anyway, that's what I called this one. It's just really, you want it, there's various courses I've done so far.
Yeah, you have, I missed them all. Were
Yeah.
they recorded at all?
This one is recorded,
The other
and
ones?
what I want to throw out there is if you guys would like to either co-present this with me or ask me to present at one of your affinity groups, if you've got some kind of a group or meeting that you want me to present to, I'm more than happy to. I definitely recommend sharing this with your kids, with your clients. I have one client who I was talking to who is a real mess right now. And she is also a divorce, survivor. And so I told her, I said, I'm doing this class tomorrow and I'm recording it. And if you're interested, I would be happy to send you the link. And she said, please do. So it's the way to recover financially, so.
So you do have the link for the other one, renters to buyers?
That's this one, this is what I called it, but there's other ones and they're all on the ones that have been recorded are
It's on
on
YouTube, right?
YouTube, yeah.
The TW share or the other?
Yeah.
Something I thought of is if you're getting divorced as a woman and you decide to get rid of, if you adopted the married name from your husband, how it affects your credit if you decide you don't want to have his name anymore. It's like you're starting from scratch again, right?
I don't
If you have
know.
it built in
No.
embedded or.
No, listen, I've been divorced many times.
Stop recording yet.
No, stop the recording.
Okay, now what happened?
How does that work?
Okay.
It doesn't, because you still, like, if you were like, this is saying, if you go to bed and you had, if you both get divorced and you have debt with your husband, then however you equally are responsible for that.
Right.
Well,
It depends on what it
Sandy.
is, sometimes, okay?
Yeah.
But
the
as far
whole
as your
business
name,
card.
all of your
So,
credit is based on your
the more
social security
cards you
number.
Oh, yeah.